Make no mistake, if he rose at all, it was his body. If the cell's dissolution did not reverse, the molecules reknit, the amino acids rekindle, the church will fall. It was not as the flowers, each soft spring recurrent. It was not as his spirit in the mouths and fuddled eyes of the 11 apostles. It was as his flesh, ours. The same hinged thumbs and toes, the same valved heart that, pierced, died, withered, paused, and then regathered out of enduring might new strength to enclose. Let us not mock God with metaphor, analogy, sidestepping, transcendence, making of the event a parable, a sign painted in the faded credulity of earlier ages. Let us walk through the door. The stone is rolled back. Not papier-mâché, not a stone in a story, but the vast rock of materiality that in the slow grinding of time will eclipse for each of us the wide light of day. And if we have an angel at the tomb, make it a real angel, weighty with Max Planck's quanta, vivid with hair, opaque in the dawn light, robed in real linen spun on a definite loom. Let us not seek to make it less monstrous for our own convenience, our own sense of beauty, lest, awakened in one unthinkable hour, we are embarrassed by the miracle and crushed by remonstrance.
Welcome to this episode of World Upside Down. We're joined by Dan Daugherty, who is a minister with Alcuin Study Center at Ball State, and we're talking about resurrection in the arts, this time particularly literature and film. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks. Good to be here.
What was that poem you read for us in the opening?
Seven stanzas at Easter by John Updike. And Updike, interestingly, well, one, he's are you familiar with the name at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so wrote the novel.
Carpenter. A book called They Called Me Carpenter.
Maybe, I don't know that one actually. So Run Rabbit.
Okay.
And then also The Witches of. I mean, it was a big film. I just had it. Is it my tongue?
I don't know.
But anyway, so only one of like 4 authors to have won the Pulitzer Prize twice.
His dates, approximately?
The 20th century.
Early 20th century, right? Early mid?
Mid.
So during the modernist controversy.
For sure, modern. Oh, yeah. And he grew up, and he was actually very involved in Protestant mainline Christianity, which is interesting then that he would write. That's why I love this poem, is that he's saying, no, come on, guys. that can't be.
A real resurrection.
He calls it mocking God if it wasn't. I mean, how does it begin? If he rose at all, he rose with the cells and the
he rose
heart
as
and
his
the
body. The cell's dissolution did not reverse the if the cell's dissolution did not reverse, the molecules reknit. The amino
and metaphor, to call that metaphor or
is
something
mockery.
that happened in the disciples' heart or something like that is mocking God.
Yeah.
Granularly talks about amino acids in there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. And Max Planck's quanta.
Yeah.
Make the angel weighty with Max
What
Planck's
does that mean?
quanta. So quantum physics. Max Planck is the one who kind of got into subatomic particles. So if there's an angel there, it actually was physical. It had these subatomic particles that made it up. It was a real thing.
Right.
And then that last line, lest awakened. If we make it into some abstract parable, then we'll be awakened one unthinkable hour, embarrassed by the miracle and crushed by remonstrance. It's powerful stuff. Yeah. But to think that's here's this modernist, liberal, theologically liberal mainline author who.
I was thinking of Upton Sinclair.
Okay.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, The Jungle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book called They Call Me Carpenter.
Okay.
And this is, the thing about resurrection is what made it come to mind, and also the similarity between Upton and Updike. In this book, in New York City, this guy is injured. He's wounded in some way. I guess he thinks he's going to die, or he's feeling close to death, and he wanders into a church, and he passes out in the front pew, and when he wakes up, Jesus in the stained glass window steps out of the stained glass window. So he's
Awesome.
dreaming
Yeah.
now, right? But then so it's about what the resurrected Jesus would do in New York City, I think in the 1920s, if he were still alive. That's kind of the point. He is still
awesome.
alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That dream idea, and I don't know if you want to talk more about this one or not, but but I just thought it was a great way to introduce and even to bridge some of the discussions about Protestant liberalism that in the past
Have come up,
have come up already. But that dream idea, that's actually one way that the resurrection trope is used in several places. And to what I do probably a lot of is make connections. I like I'm always fascinated when this piece of art or this thought or whatever that intersect them, have a conversation with another one. And so you have It's a Wonderful Life and Christmas Carol. And they both have that same kind of dream idea that is death. You know, they're
to go to sleep is to
in a sense, well,
metaphorically die.
and in It's
For
a
the
Wonderful
purposes of
Life,
literature.
of course, it's not just sleeping. We don't know exactly what happens, right? It's kind of left a little ambiguous when Clarence rescues him.
I don't remember.
And he's on the bridge.
Yeah. And so Clarence the angel rescues him. Now, how did all this transpire? But it seems as though there's actually, and he says, "I wish I was never born," right? And so the idea of the dream there that he goes through, or whatever that is, as he's dead, is to see his life, not his life, but the life of those around him, if he never would have lived.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been disgruntled through the entire story. He's disgruntled with his own life. He thinks he's disappointed with where he's ended up. He's disappointed that he hasn't made the money or traveled or had the kind of built the things he wanted to build, right? And so he's got all this disappointment surrounding his kind of materialistic world or life, and then he sees, oh, wait, if I was never born, that has disastrous consequences for a lot of people. And so he comes back with this renewed vigor and a I would say a self-forgetfulness, which is the kind of the redemptive piece. Mm-hmm. And the flip side is Scrooge has that dream, and in his dream, he's shown how horrible everyone's life was because of him, because he was alive, right? Yeah. And he has this, but it's the same self-forgetfulness comes out, and his life is completely changed as he gives to others. And so there is a redemptive quality in both of those that is using the resurrection theme, although weakly in some ways as well. But maybe we'll get to that. But I think
weakly, W-E-A-K.
Yes, W-E-A-K.
I think so the point is they're faced with death, and then with the opportunity to live again, they're new people.
They're changed. They're new people. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you saying that that's sort of the modernist vibe of resurrection is a vision or a dream, picking that up, using it, and then it changes things in real life when you come back to your senses?
Yeah, and it's moralistic.
Yeah.
In both cases, right? And Dickens, and we're going to hopefully hit on another Dickens novel, probably my favorite, Tale of Two Cities, in a little bit here. But Dickens, in particular, his theology, Christmas Carol is, I know a lot of Christians who think it's this wonderful Christian story. I'm like, kind of.
It's just that the story changes you, right?
Yeah.
Not that resurrection was real, or the ongoing effect of the resurrection is real.
Right.
But a good story will change you.
A good story, and if you have the opportunity to kind of have that out-of-body experience, to look at life and see it from other people's perspectives, then and in a death kind of a setting, right? And that's where the resurrection trope is used, which I think the resurrection trope is a very difficult trope and isn't used as much as many other religious tropes, I think, in literature or in film. But anyway, I think that's what's happening there. It's a moralist.
So we're talking about the way the resurrection of Jesus Christ has appeared in various forms and tropes in literature and film, right?
Right.
And you think it's underused?
I think it
Christian
can be
tropes are employed more?
I think, for instance, I think there are difficulties with it, right? It's got to be, it's too on the nose. Like the baptism, for instance, you can use baptism can be someone standing in the rain, someone falling into a river, someone, falling off a boat, or something.
Or the guys in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Going
yes,
over the river.
the flood, yes. That's a great scene.
No, I was talking about when they followed the sirens into the river.
No, that wasn't so much.
And one
baptism.
of them turned into a horny toad.
Right.
That wasn't a baptism. That wasn't a baptism.
I'd have to think about that. I think the baptism for them is when
the water comes.
When the valley floods.
Oh, okay.
That would be more.
I'll have to watch it again.
But so that's an easier trope, right?
But you're saying resurrection is too like, whoa, wait a minute, resurrections don't happen.
Right.
So
well, and when they do, and
you can't do that.
Right. So it's either got to be really
It ruins
nuanced.
your story.
It's got to be nuanced, or it's here are the problems, right? And I just I have a few notes on.
Well, before you get the problems, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Just so our audience can understand, what is a trope?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
A trope is a literary device.
It's a literary device.
And it's a specific kind. Tropes are the literary devices that appeal to the imagination as opposed to the sight, right? Schemes are literary devices that appeal to the sight, things like repetition or alliteration. They appeal to the senses, I guess, right?
Okay.
You can hear them and see them. You don't need a lot of imagination to see alliteration, right? Which is maybe why pastors are so good at using it. I'm kidding.
You made you right.
He's a pastor.
I know he is. But imagination, the tropes are the ones like metaphor and irony and simile that appeal to the imagination.
So using the resurrection of Jesus Christ in a way that makes either a reader or a viewer think about some goal that the author or director has.
Right.
Okay, so resurrection tropes are underused, or at least comparatively speaking, it's just easier to pull off other ones.
Right.
And is that because audiences know, hey, you can't keep having your hero die and come back to life,
right? Because
that's so unrealistic.
Well, it's not just unrealistic; it cheapens the stakes, right? It diminishes the tension.
If you can't die, then
so think about Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When one of the heroes dies, most of the time you're like, he'll be back in the next movie.
Yeah, so you don't feel the punch.
It doesn't. How many? Probably 10 of the Marvel heroes have died in some way and come back to life.
So most
they all came back in whatever the last one.
Right.
Watched was.
What?
It's like 4 years ago, man.
Even
yeah, but I'm trying to catch up. I'm on like movie 20 out of 37. Okay, so you're saying authors know to be careful with this one. Don't overdo it, or to use symbolism like you were just describing to pull it off.
Right. That's I think it comes off best in a symbolic sort of way. There are very few times that it's used in a way that is one that I think, although I'm my own ignorance here, I have to my shame never read the Harry Potter series. My wife loves it, my kids love it, and I've never read it. I haven't read it yet. Just haven't gotten to it yet. But you haven't either? Neither. Okay.
No.
So we probably shouldn't talk. We probably
feel no shame.
Oh, I do. As a literary guy, I do. But then we probably shouldn't talk about it. But other than my understanding is that spoilers, I guess, but he resurrects, and it's like much more literal, and it has a ton of emotional weight, and it's done really well.
I suppose how many books are there? 7?
Yeah, exactly.
So the seventh one.
Right.
Reepicheep is also resurrected.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But Lewis waits a long time to give you that.
Yep.
Only Aslan is resurrected in number 2. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody else gets that until the end, and that's kind of the point, right?
Yep. And so when it's used sparingly and with enough emotional tension and enough time, it can work, I think. But otherwise, you just don't see it very literally. You see it figuratively in several places. So, we talked a little bit about
give us one. Yeah.
Count of Monte Cristo.
Give us your
favorite. It's not my favorite, actually. My favorite would be Tale of Two Cities.
All right, tell us how is resurrection used in Tale of Two Cities?
Tale of Two Cities, again, if you haven't read it yet, then I think our listeners ought to stop this right now, go read it, and then come back.
It's the best of books and the worst of books.
It's a far, far better thing to read.
Right here. Yes. We're going to get to that line. That's, you guys just the very first line,
first
very last
page,
line.
you made it to the end. You made it to the end.
It's good. So Sidney Carton is this down and out. He had been an orphan. He was this down and out drunkard who was second to a bully of whose name is Bully Stryver, who's a bully of an attorney. And in the end, though, he turns out during one of the cases, realized Sidney Carton looks just like Charles Darnay. And
Darnay's the main character.
Nah, he's not actually. He's a character. I'd say Carton is actually the main character. The main character in a story is the one who changes the most.
Gotcha.
The one who goes through transformation.
Got it.
Darnay is one of the most flat, static characters in literature.
But
He
he's
doesn't
the
change.
recognizable good guy in the beginning.
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He is. Yeah.
You're cheering for him.
Yeah. You're cheering for him. I think. Yeah, you are. I mean, you are. He's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. I guess he's just not. There's not much to him.
You're
honestly.
not cheering for Sidney Carton.
No,
at
you're
the
not cheering
beginning.
for Sidney Carton at the beginning,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
That's well said, yeah. And I think you're cheering for, like, Dr. Manette is probably the more, he probably overshadows Darnay in the beginning as the.
He's the one who escapes the best deal.
Yes,
Right.
yes. And so anyways, Darnay through unrighteous courts and through the Third Estate, he's in the Second Estate in France prior to the Revolution. So Second Estate is the nobility, right? And the Third Estate are all the commoners.
He's headed
who
for the
are-
guillotine,
And
it
he's
looks like.
headed for the guillotine. And even though he's trying to give up everything he has for the commoners, but they don't care because he's nobility, right? There's a little more of a story there. He's connected to some people that the Defarges, who are kind of the main revolutionaries, citizens who are pushing for Darnay's death. So Darnay, he gets to the end, and in the meantime, Carton has been going through this transformation of realizing he could be better than he is, partly because of Darnay's wife, Lucy, whom Carton also loves. And Lucy, meaning light. Dickens does a ton with names, too. It's awesome. The names all mean something.
Oh, that Lucy means light is significant.
Yeah. She, over and over again, is bringing light into the past for her father, into the future for Carton. She's...
So one of the characters' name is Jerry Cruncher.
Yes, I love Jerry Cruncher. He's great.
What does his name mean?
His I think is just a feeling. The name Cruncher, and it talks about his hair being so spiky. Some of them are more just like in an earlier Dickens or another Dickens novel in the Hard Times. You've got Gradgrind is the name of the teacher who's grinding down the students. So Gradgrind just sounds like So Cruncher I think falls in that category. But Sidney's name actually has the most complex meaning going on with it. Darnay, whose real last name is Evremond.
That's what gets him in trouble.
Yes, that's what gets him in trouble. It's also, though, monde is French for world, right? Like Café du Monde.
Okay.
And every sure sounds a lot like all. Or
All the
every,
world.
All the world. Right?
So he represents all the world.
He's all the world.
Okay.
And all the world is in prison and is about to be beheaded. And Jerry Cruncher, Sidney Carton. Oh, Jerry Cruncher, his name, there is one thing about it, is that he's a foil for Carton. And Jerry Cruncher's initials, of course, are JC, and he calls himself the Resurrection Man throughout the whole thing, because he's a grave digger. He's a grave robber.
That's Jerry Cruncher's grave robber.
He's a grave
That's right,
robber,
that's
and he
right,
calls
that's
himself the Resurrection Man.
That's right.
And
So that's foreshadowing.
It's a foil, right? A foil in literature is when you have it's like in a diamond, like the setting of a diamond is the foil, and it makes the diamond shine all the more brightly. So Jerry Cruncher is the foil to Sidney Carton, who's the real Resurrection Man in a sense. And so then Sidney Carton, who's he ends up taking the place of Darnay through a series of kind of tricky swaps. and without.
So
Darnay
this is
knowing
where
it.
the listener who hasn't read Tale of Two Cities but is intrigued so far,
Yes.
should skip ahead by 2 minutes.
Right.
Okay. Now what happens?
And then he drugs Darnay, so Darnay dies in a sense. He's unconscious. He's dragged out by a jailer whom Carton has bribed. He's dragged out and brought to safety. Carton takes his place, and then Carton goes to the guillotine. But all leading up to that whole thing, he's quoting John, "I'm the resurrection and the life."
When he's buying the medicines.
When he's buying the drugs to put Darnay out, and then also right as he's on his way to the guillotine in the cart with a sweet little innocent girl that he's trying to comfort, he's also quoting, "I am the resurrection and the life." Yes. And then he, at the end, he has this vision of all these people whose lives have been changed and redeemed in a sense because of his death. So the last few paragraphs are that it ends with, "It's a far, far better thing that I do than I've ever done before, a far, far better place where I go than I've ever gone before." And so this it's his
substitution and resurrection are
present there, and then Darnay wakes up and you realize, I'm alive.
Yeah.
And then they name, actually, Darnay and Lucy name a son after Carton, and he becomes a just judge in all the land. Which is another beautiful. There's just a ton going on. And then Sydney. So the name Sydney comes from the name the moniker Saint Denis. That's where Sydney comes from. And Saint Denis was patron saint of Paris, who was beheaded as a martyr. And so there's Sidney Carton.
Okay.
Fascinating.
It is. Okay, so there's a pretty sophisticated use of the Christian understanding of resurrection.
Yes.
Jesus
Yes.
Dies for others and is raised a just judge.
Yes.
And we could talk about more. We mentioned the Count of Monte Cristo. I do really like that one. Everybody thinks he's dead, and dead for different reasons.
Right.
He's executed for treason. He's put he's given a life sentence in a prison, and when someone dies in that prison, they dump him into the sea around the outside, right?
Yep.
And then his friend, who's a priest, does die, and they're about to dump him in the sea. And as the jailers put the dead priest, in a body bag, they walk away for some reason, and Edmond Dantes pulls his friend out, hides him under the floor because they already had a cavern there because they were trying to dig. Puts himself in the body bag.
Right.
They dump him into the sea around the Chateau d'If, and he sinks to the bottom.
Yep.
So he's in a body bag. People already think he's dead. He's sentenced to life. He's dropped into a watery grave, but he comes out and he swims to the surface.
Yep.
And the first thing he does when he gets to the first island is he climbs to the top and looks out over it, and then sets off on his path of justice and vengeance.
When he sets off to Monte Cristo, right? The mountain of Christ.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what now I have not seen the one with
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. I've not seen that one actually. I've read the book.
There's a Count of Monte Cristo with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I've not seen it, but yeah.
I think it's him in it.
Yeah,
as
I
well
think
as
it is. Not Richard Chamberlain was the first, right?
Right.
I can't believe, by the way, that you remember such detail. How long ago did you read that? Yeah.
I don't know how long ago I read it, but I've also written about it.
Oh, okay.
So that's what causes me to remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. The novel, which is like 1,200 pages, but I loved it, and so I was slow to watch any of the movies. The guy, what's his name? Who's also in Memento, Guy Pearce. He's in the one with Leonardo, right?
I haven't seen it.
That's the one you're talking about? It came out like 80s, 90s, somewhere in there.
Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah, which one?
I don't know. The one I saw, I don't think had Leonardo DiCaprio.
Guy Pearce?
But again, it was also a long time ago.
I feel like it was Richard Chamberlain was the main.
That's the old.
You were going to mention something else.
There's a new one so I did end up finally watching this new one that came out. This French. It's really beautiful. The cinematography is amazing. And I can't compare it to the other films, but I imagine this is going to be the same for all of them. It has to crunch so much because there's so much detail and so much intrigue, and he drags out that revenge for years in Paris and elsewhere, with these families. But part of the point, to be clear, part of the point is that
seeking revenge will consume you and kill you.
Yes.
So it's not a totally happy end.
That's what I was going to say.
But the resurrection motif is there.
But imperfectly, right? He's
Yes.
so yeah. He comes out, and what does he come back for in the movie? At least the one I saw, and I think probably where it's emphasized the most is the revenge piece of things. In the book, there is. Does he give away all? Does he still keep in touch with the Morels?
Yeah,
the ship,
he saves their shipping industry and all that kind of stuff.
So there is that redemptive piece with the Morels and giving the money to them.
I think he's bringing justice and vengeance, and the justice side. So justice is what is setting things right that are wrong, right, but also bringing down the oppressor.
Right.
So it's lifting up and bringing down. He gets the lift up part right, but it brings the vengeance side he gets wrong.
Yes, he goes too and certainly too far, and actually probably too far to begin with, in that vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and he takes it upon himself.
He's not really Christ. He didn't really die and come back. Yeah.
Right. And he recognizes in the book, he has this moment of realizing there are people dying now that weren't supposed to. Right. and so yeah, there's a sadness to it. It's tinged very heavily with sadness, I would say. Even the justice part at the end. So it's not. I think that's why I like Tale of Two Cities better in that than that one. But it's still really good. It's still definitely a resurrection.
Okay, so and there are a lot more examples we could talk about. We were talking earlier about Gandalf's return.
Yeah, the more popular.
Movie.
There's lots of resurrections in that, though.
Gandalf,
kind of everybody.
I think
basically.
I thought Frodo died several times.
Even in the movie, Peter Jackson puts. I think in the book, I don't think Aragorn goes over the cliff and into the river. They think he's dead, but in the movie, Aragorn's got to get in on the resurrection game too. I guess.
Well, in the book, the tropes that represent characteristics of Christ, resurrection just being one of them, but many others, are spread out over many characters. Right?
Yes.
So Gandalf's a Christ figure, so is Aragorn, so is
Samwise.
Oh, Sam, totally.
Right? Definitely Sam. And this does not come across in the movie. The king of Rohan, what's his name?
Oh,
Theoden?
Theoden, yeah. He's also clad for battle, the way he's described in Helm's Deep. Okay, but back to resurrection specifically. What are authors trying to accomplish? Why draw on that imagery? Yeah. What are they trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. I think different things, maybe. I think, like in the case of Dickens, as well as then I'd love to compare that to The Dark Knight Rises, which was based on Tale of Two Cities. And so I think there what you have is again this moralistic better self reaching. Unfortunately, it's a bit of that Victorian Sydney. You can do better than this. You're a better man than this. I can see something. Lucy's saying, I can see something in you. You're gonna do something magnanimous one day.
So you could have a character saying that to Sydney, and him saying, "Okay." But that's really cheap and just too easy.
Right.
Better to go through this harrowing tale of death.
Right. And of him saying, denying, like thinking, "Oh, that was very kind of her, but there's no way. And but he loves her, and it's out of this. And he actually has a sacrificial love. He loves her, but he knows that he couldn't make her happy because of who he is, and he knows that she loves Darnay, and so he actually says to her, basically, I love you. I know, but I don't want that to be a burden on you. I just ask that I could be a friend who occasionally comes to this house if you and your husband would allow, you and Darnay. And so he's sacrificial even in a very self-deprecating way from the beginning. And she sees in that something worthwhile and wants to draw that out of him, wants him to be a better person. I'd say likewise.
So moral reformation.
Yeah, moral reformation. And likewise, when Batman, The Dark Knight Rises begins.
Okay, yeah.
Can we go there?
Yes. I remember the movie. I didn't know it was a Tale of Two Cities.
So there's some places in there that are really obvious. Like there's a character named Stryver in both, and Commissioner Gordon reads the last line of Tale of Two Cities at the gravesite.
Oh wow.
Does he?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So those were the first ones that tipped me. Like when I was watching, and I was noticing some other things the first time I saw it in the theater. I'm caught up in the Batman thing. I'm watching with my boys, and then I'm like, whoa, this is there's bits and pieces. So I've gone back and watched it and thought, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. It's just everywhere in there. Catwoman is in many ways, well, and there's some crossover, right, of these, but Catwoman is in many ways Carton, who she grew up in this hard life. She thinks she could never do good, so she's stuck doing bad. But Batman calls something out of her, right, to do something good. But likewise, I think in another way, Alfred is in the beginning is playing that kind of Lucy role to Bruce Wayne, saying you're made for more than this. What are you doing? As he's all, there's a party going on in his own house, and people aren't even sure if he's alive anymore because he's upstairs, and there's all these rumors about him, eating whatever and being all, letting his nails grow too long or whatever, because nobody's ever seen him because he got so depressed after the second film. Of course, he didn't know there was a second film, but he got depressed after it. And he's so he's in this, all by himself, and you have the Bruce Wayne, Darnay, nobility. Mm-hmm. You have the Third Estate in this is prior, I think, I'm pretty sure it's years prior, at least when they're making it, to the Occupy movement, but came out around the same time as the Occupy stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what's going on. You have the lower class. There's, in fact, one of Bane's first lines in it is the fire rises. When they're in a plane and the plane's going down, he says, the fire rises. That's the name of one of the chapters in Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, okay.
Okay. To watch this with new eyes now.
And so they and Bane, even the story of the Defarges is similar to Bane and what's the woman's name who was actually the child of Ra's al Ghul. The child who you don't remember the child that climbed out of that pit prison. So anyway,
Tell us.
It's like these are things I watched with like my oldest son when I was barely awake, and it was dad time.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, it's a similar story to the backstory of the Defarges, which is what led to Evermont's arrest.
When the kid got killed by the well.
Yeah. Well, no, it didn't get killed. You think?
Kid got ran over.
Oh, that one. And that wasn't the Defarges, but that is this later. Madame Defarge was a little girl whose family was by the Evermont's family.
She ran the inn where everyone was hiding.
And
Well,
anyway,
so Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
Where's the resurrection?
Yeah. So you have it's multiple times. It's that theme happens so many times in that. But Bane. The first big one is Bane crushes, Bruce Wayne's all out of shape. He's got a bad knee. He goes and he thinks he can just get up and go fight Bane. And Bane breaks him and breaks the mask, while Catwoman looks on. And she feels a little bit of guilt maybe because she turned him in. And then he ends up in the prison where Bane had stayed, which is this huge pit. They call it hell.
Like Darnay was in prison.
That's right. Like Darnay was in prison. Mm-hmm. Like Edmund Dantes was in prison. Right. That's another common piece of the resurrection theme.
Yeah, because of Joseph. Probably because of Joseph.
Shawshank Redemption. And prison. Well, and right, Jesus descended to those down into the.
Oh, to those the spirits who are in prison.
Yeah,
maybe.
So I think there's that prison is about the closest thing we can think of as hell.
Yeah.
Right, and in our to use
and death without somebody actually dying.
Right.
Without taking that shortcut through the story and being cheap about it.
Right.
Prison is the worst.
Prison works. Yeah. So that's I think that's why that's there a lot. But this one's actually called Hell. This pit, they call it Hell. So he's in hell. He comes back out. He goes back and he ends up, kind of rallying the forces, and the police all get excited, and they finally inspired, and so things are happening there in Gotham. But then at the end, there's that nuclear bomb, right? That they're driving around in the truck, and Bane says is gonna, we're gonna blow up the whole city here. It's got a 6-mile radius. We need all these pieces, and Batman with his new bat, the jet thing he has, with about 10 minutes left to go before the bomb goes off. He takes the bomb and he flies out with it over the ocean, and it explodes, and everybody watches as Batman dies in the explosion. And so that's the death right there, the death of Batman, right? No, that's the Sidney Carton. Batman's Sidney Carton, and Bruce Wayne, being Darnay, wakes up in France
so Batman dies, but Bruce Wayne lives.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely need to watch this again.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's the whole, and that's the last scene. Is he and Catwoman actually at a cafe in France where, kind of foreshadowing or prophetically, Alfred had said, once a year I always go away to this. He says, I dream about doing this, or I've done this, or whatever. I go to this cafe in France, and I think maybe I'm going to look up and see you with a nice woman someday, Mr. Wayne. But you're wasting your life away. And then in the end, Alfred's there. Alfred looks up, sees Bruce Wayne, and they both smile at each other without saying a word. And then,
And that's what happened. Darnay is reunited with Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
At the end.
Right.
Okay, so
It's great.
I want to turn to the question of who cares? Why does this matter? But first, we want to get to know you a little bit. Dan, you have a BS in journalism from Ball State University.
I do.
Right? And an MA in Christian thought from Reformed Theological Seminary in Orlando.
Correct.
You taught for 12 years at the Schaefer Academy
Yep.
in Minnesota. What'd you teach there?
I taught literature, composition, philosophy, a little bit of ancient history. It's a classical Christian school, K through 12. So
you've been talking about these things for a long time.
Whatever they tell you to
do.
teach, you teach.
All right. And now you are the leader, president, what do you
Director.
Director of the Alcuin Center
Yep.
at Ball State, at your alma mater.
Yep.
What is the Alcuin Center? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Alcuin.
What do you direct?
So just one or two syllables, Alcuin, as if it's got a Q.
Okay.
Alcuin Study Center is part of the Christian Study Center movement. We are one of about almost 40 now in the consortium of Christian study centers that is headquartered at UVA. And rather than being we are a ministry. We minister to the students for sure, but
it's not a campus ministry
it's
like
not
most people think of.
Campus ministry, right?
ministry
And in
for
fact,
students.
we're registered as an educational nonprofit. And the idea is that we're engaging with the Christian intellectual tradition with students and helping not just students, but faculty as well. So we're not just a student organization. We are an official student organization, but we work a lot with faculty. We founded in August of 2020, so right in the middle of the lockdown. And there weren't any students on campus. So we got to know faculty, and we have about 15 or so faculty that are involved in different ways, ranging from IU med profs. I was telling Roger earlier, but IU Medical School's second largest student population is at Ball State. So we have an IU med prof, a computer science prof, English, architecture, just all these different areas that music. That professors are involved with us in different ways, and we team up with them in some different interesting ways. But we provide educational opportunities for the church and the university, for the church to better understand her own history, engagement with culture, kind of the big picture too of what does it look like to just live the faith out in all aspects of life, right? And then helping the university to see that the Christian academic or intellectual tradition should have a seat at the table. Never mind that it built the table, but it would be nice to have a seat. And so through relationships with faculty and administration and staff, we're doing some really interesting stuff, I think, toward that end.
So what's an example of something you do?
So we'll team up with different organizations on campus. So like the Institute for the Study of Political Economy, ISPE, is an official Ball State institute.
Okay.
One of the economic professors, Nathan Snow, who helps to run that, put together, we teamed up with him to put together this concert / interview with a jazz singer named Ruth Naomi Floyd. I don't know if you're familiar with her at all. She worked with Bill William Edgar, the apologist, who's also a jazz piano player.
I didn't know that.
Professional, and he toured with her, and they did a history of spirituals, blues, and jazz, and they do this historical, really cool thing. I've seen it a couple different times, and so I met her actually up in Rochester, Minnesota, at L'Abri when they did that there once. But she now has a group called the Frederick Douglass Jazz Works, and they take Frederick Douglass's words, and she writes the jazz music and puts it to jazz music. And of course, Douglass being a Christian and also an abolitionist and an escaped slave himself and self-taught and just an amazing man. So the story's amazing. It's really powerful stuff. So we brought them to, and again, Nathan Snow was the main engine behind all of this. Actually, I want to be sure he gets the credit because he did more legwork than anybody. But we worked with them to bring her to campus with her jazz combo. They played at Cruis Hall. We brought in high schools for a field trip to come in and hear it. And throughout Douglass's works, the gospel's in there everywhere. I mean, he was a strong Christian, and so that comes out. Ruth Naomi Floyd herself has an amazing story. In fact, I'll direct you to our YouTube channel where you can see then the second night that she was there, I interviewed her at the EB and Bertha C. Ball Center, which is part of Minnetrista, the cultural center connected to Ball State. Okay. So again, a Ball State institution, right? We're working together with the university. We think a lot in terms of Jeremiah 29, that how do we live in exile? Well, one of the big ones, first of all, take the long view, right? Plant gardens, build houses, marriage, these kind of things, long view, and then work for the welfare of the city. We work for the welfare of the university
campus. Right.
And so I interviewed her at this, a lot of kind of town and gown folks at the Ball Center, and she shared the gospel in about 8 different ways. At the end, somebody asked her, she asked them, what is the greatest blues line? Who's the greatest blues singer? That's what it was. No, she said, who's the greatest blues singer? And she got the audience to give her a bunch of things. And she said, the greatest blues singer is Jesus Christ. And the greatest blues line ever written was, my God, why have you forsaken me? But she's powerful, man. So she did 2 concerts.
That was a cover song. David wrote that. David is the greatest blues writer.
Okay.
She's a cover to Dave's song.
Depends on your doctrine of inspiration, I suppose.
Ooh, right on. Good point.
Prosperological depth there.
Good point.
Before Abraham, I think he came first. But
oh boy. Moving on.
So anyway, she did a couple concerts and then her jazz combo provided a master's class for the music department, and then we did
Wow, awesome.
Then we did this interview. That's one bigger event, and then we did a smaller event, well, not smaller, but ongoing classes. So we do biblical literacy classes throughout the semester. So we have Brian Allred, so a PCA pastor who has also done some work in seminaries and taught, and so he teaches.
Taught here for a bit.
Okay.
Back in the day, we needed some help, and he helped us out.
Yeah. Great guy, great teacher, and he does these biblical literacy classes that no homework, but they're somewhere between. It's not a Bible study the way most college students would think of a Bible study. It's higher level than that, but it's lower level than seminary. Kind of so somewhere in between there as a way of bringing, and it's taught in such a way that we've had unbelievers there who get a lot out of it, and feel free to. And that's kind of the thing. We don't. I'm talking more about Alcuin than I want to be, probably. But I can just say this real quick. Alcuin, the namesake. Alcuin of York is where we get...
the famous inventor of lowercase letters.
Yes, and of the question mark.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And he had been working, prior to him, the Venerable Bede. He was in the line of the Venerable Bede, and they'd been working on... holding on to all that was good and true and beautiful from the past. So as barbarians have been tearing down the Roman Empire and burning things, they're going out on the continent.
Charlemagne, one of them.
Well,
Former barbarian.
no, well, yeah. But then Charlemagne comes on the scene a little bit later. But prior to that, this whole line of monks, starting with Benedict Bishop and then Bede, and then from Bede, a bunch of others, including Alcuin, another generation later. But they've been going and saving like manuscripts and even stained glass windows and artwork, and they're building libraries in the backwater Britain.
So
right?
saving the future from the present's attempt to destroy the past.
Ooh, well said.
Is that the
That was poetic.
book, How the Irish Saved Civilization? Is that?
No, it's not. But it similar in terms of what was happening in the British Isles.
Yeah.
And yeah, so similar.
Well,
this was so Alcuin then was then called by Charlemagne to be the main educator in Gaul in Charlemagne's palace. And so when Charlemagne called him, he essentially, just paraphrasing a bit, but he essentially said, "I'll do it if you stop chopping off people's heads for not believing the gospel." And Charlemagne kind of was like, "Well, how do you do it then?" And he said, "Well, you teach. You irrigate their lands with learning. And we're going to teach. We're not just going to teach the privilege, but I'm going to go into all of the peasant communities and teach." And Charlemagne wasn't so sure about that, but he did it. He taught with humor and with relationships, tons of friends. His letters are hilarious, and these nicknames for all of his friends and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But he also invented the story problem.
So what?
Story problem in math.
That's the
You
guy.
You know?
That's the guy that did
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
We were going down a nice memory lane.
We were
Then you went there.
Yeah,
to my
story
fourth grade
problem.
math class.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But so the two things at the center, the reason we use his name is in large part because one, like Alcuin, we're in a time that what is good and true and beautiful is in danger of being lost, and we want to help save it and pass it on. Charlemagne told Alcuin he wanted a bunch of Ambroses and Augustines in his palace, and Alcuin said, "Sir, the good Lord only made 2 of those, and I'm neither. I'm just a teacher." And that's I feel like I can teach. Like I'm not some big original thinker, but I can pass those on, and that's where I felt like I resonate with this guy. And then the other thing is that we're in an age when people want to chop off each other's heads for not believing the same thing, and we want to help to teach charitable dialogue.
Yeah.
And so,
Wonderful.
So those are the reasons.
We were just talking about that at lunch today. Where is that happening?
Yeah, may that tribe increase.
Amen. Okay, we'll get back to resurrection tropes in literature and film in just a minute.
Yep.
But we're filming this on a Monday after a weekend of serious political events. I don't know if you watched all the news this weekend. There's one name I didn't recognize. He's all over the news. Senator Dill Willie. I don't know. I hadn't heard of him. I don't know who would elect someone with that name. Who is Senator Dill Willie? I'm asking you.
Where did you dig that up?
Who is that?
It's a figment of Chad Beck's imagination. Chad Beck was the lead singer of the band Senator Dill Willie.
Oh, it's a band.
It was a band, yes, back in the day, and I'm spaced on his last name, Mike, who's I think now the president at Gordon College. He was at Taylor.
The president of Gordon College was in your band called Senator Dill
He was the
Willie?
manager.
He was the manager?
Yeah, he was the manager of Senator Dill Willie.
Okay. So Senator Dill Willie was good enough to need a manager.
Not
Played
really.
some gigs?
We played some gigs.
Cut a record? Cut a record?
We cut a record.
Can
yeah.
people find Senator
I
Dill
don't
Willie
know.
somewhere
I hope
online?
not. I hope they
What
cannot.
kind of music was this?
That's hard to define. That's very hard to define. Who knows that? Where'd you
I'm trying to preserve the past so I can
We're supposed to
irrigate my
preserve
neighborhood
wanna
with good music.
Preserve what's good, true, and beautiful. I'm not sure. So yes, I played drums for Senator Dill
Okay.
Willie.
Well, just give us the genre. What was it? Ska?
No.
Punk? Grunge? Rock?
It's
metal?
kind of post-punk weirdness a little bit. Kind of, yeah.
Americans wanting to be British.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Pavement? You ever listen to Pavement?
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of
Wowie
inspired.
Zowie.
Yeah, okay. So it was inspired by Pavement, probably.
Okay.
Spiegel? Did Spiegel tell you this?
No, he didn't. He
'Cause
didn't. Was he in the band?
No,
he promoted you or
recorded
something.
it.
Oh,
We recorded in Spiegel's basement, and then I also played drums.
A good songwriter himself.
Yeah, I played drums on some of his stuff as well on Philonis.
Okay.
So
In a
He's
parallel
taught for
universe.
us.
Yeah, he's taught for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You still-
Resurrection in literature. Maybe there's a Senator Dilwilly song out there about the resurrection, and someone will find it. So what's the upshot? What's the upshot?
Well, that's
what's-
So I think I don't have an upshot. Here's what I'd say about kind of broader,
Apologetically, evangelism.
Yeah. Broader implications. So C.S. Lewis, I've got a quote from Lewis I want to share along these lines. I knew you were going to ask something like this. So Lewis loved Nordic myths, especially. He and Tolkien were really into the Northness, is what he called it, and that was really tied to his seeking for joy, and that whole thing. And he was really enamored with Balder, very taken by the myth of Balder. So Balder was this beautiful, a god of light of sorts in Nordic mythology, who everybody loved. He was the most lovable, the most just and kind of brilliant of all the gods. And he had started to have bad dreams that something horrible was going to happen to him. So his mother, who I forgot his mother's name, Odin was his father, and his mother.
Frigg?
Yeah.
Frigg? Is Frigg his mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she went out to all of the plants, the stones, the trees, and everything, and made them all take a vow that they would never harm her son Balder, because these dreams he's having. So she made everything in all creation swear to this, except one thing, because it was a small little soft plant on the other side of the world or whatever, and so she didn't see the need to go after it and tell it. It's called mistletoe. And Loki then disguises himself as a stranger, comes in, and then the gods would have this fun, and they'd throw things at Balder. None of it would hurt him, right? So they'd whip these spears and stuff, and he thought it was funny, and it was like this way to honor him, in a sense, was to kind of pay homage to him by throwing things at him, and he could just go like this, And then Loki comes in, and he says, "What's going on here? How's all this happening and stuff?" And so it gets told the story, and then Loki, of course, goes and gets mistletoe,
Figures it out,
brings mistletoe back, and there's a blind god who he says, "Hey, why don't you throw things?" Well, he's like, "I'd never hit him." "Hey, I'll direct your arm. You should join in the fun." And then this blind god he has throw, and he directs it, and mistletoe pierces the heart of Balder, and Balder dies. And everybody weeps. Everywhere is weeping. And he goes to hell, actually, is Hel, but that's their underworld. So he goes to hell, and then would you say the name?
I think Frigg.
Frigg. Yeah, Frigg. Yep. So Frigg then says, anybody who can get my boy out of hell, I will bless with whatever. So another god goes down into hell and tries to get him out, and is it Hela or Hellas is the guardian? I think it's a female guardian of their underworld. Correct me on details or whatever. I'm sure I'll get something wrong, but she says, if you can show me that every single god, or every single person, god, whatever, is weeping for Balder, that everybody wants him alive again, then I'll let him go. And there's one old lady that won't, that says he got what he deserved, whatever. Of course, it's Loki again, disguising himself. So he doesn't come back, and everybody is so just this injustice of the most innocent and pure of the gods dying for no reason. And so at the end of the world, at Ragnarok, there are these prophecies that Balder will rise again and become king. Lewis loved that story, and that was and he loved a lot of mythology, but that was one that really stuck with him. And in his discussions with Tolkien and Dyson, and as he's coming to know, kind of coming to hear the gospel, he realizes that was one that he connects with Christ, and he says, this is the hope. This is that has always been in the human heart. The way that he uses in Narnia or in other places, he uses those pagan stories and says these are just these are echoes or foreshadowings or types of if we're all really made in the image of God, and we're all it all goes back to this oral history. Then there are pieces of this that are still in there, and they're just twisted, and so all of these are foreshadowing and pointing to the real myth, right? And
the real myth.
And so he says the heart of Christianity is a myth which is also a fact. The old myth of the dying god, without ceasing to be myth, comes down from the heaven of legend and imagination to the earth of history. It happens at a particular date, in a particular place, followed by definable historical consequences. We pass from a Balder or an Osiris, who's the Egyptian god, kind of similar, dying nobody knows when or where. We pass from those dying nobody knows when or where to a historical person crucified. It is all in order. He has under Pontius Pilate. By becoming fact, it does not cease to be myth. That is the miracle. God is more than a god, not less. Christ is more than Balder, not less. We must not be ashamed of the mythical radiance resting on our theology. We must not be nervous about parallels in pagan Christs. They ought to be there. It would be a stumbling block if they weren't. So I think one of the things it's written on the human heart, right? That these truths of Christianity and the hopes that we have and the longings we have, they're there whether we want them to be or not. And so he's showing in the pagans they were there, and they're fulfilled in Christ. And I think in our modern times, similarly, there's a longing. Shawshank, there's a reason it's one of the top movies of all time.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shawshank Redemption. Andy is
Which also
so much.
has your innocent into the prison.
Yeah.
Right, and then out through the ground.
And not just the
and then
ground,
justice
but
comes in its
sewage.
wake.
Sewage
right?
pipe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, through sewage, through the filth
Yeah.
of humanity is
Yeah.
what he goes through.
Yeah.
And then he's baptized. He comes out in the rain.
Oh, right.
And he has his arms out like that, right?
Right.
And Red, what's Red's role? Red really is guilty.
Right.
Right,
Oh,
Red.
and he gets set free.
He's saved
Right.
by Andy, right?
Yeah.
He gets set free. And then they meet, when they first meet up again, they meet on a beach.
Yeah.
Right?
Why is that
Well,
significant?
when Jesus resurrected, where did he
Right.
end up, right? So I just think there's some, and not only that, but like also you think of in Lord of the Rings, back to that, what's the shore symbolize, right?
Right.
So there's just some beautiful pieces there, but then I think it also gets twisted, right? So I wonder.
Okay, before you go to this point,
yeah.
So to clarify,
Well, go ahead.
you're saying that Lewis makes the argument that there are myths, let's just for simplicity's sake say made up stories that have some kind of explanatory power and they're passed on from generation to generation that incorporate the idea of death and resurrection.
Yeah.
Boulder's one example of that.
Yeah.
But with Christ, to be clear to the world,
Yeah.
we're not talking about a myth anymore. We're not talking about in places
we-
that nobody knows and in times
Right.
nobody knows, but specifically in history at a time, a
Right.
real man is dead and rises again, and this transcends these other stories.
Right.
But nonetheless tells us something that if cross and resurrection of Jesus Christ is a true story, it's God's story, right? And God who makes the world, right? Then it is therefore it is a meta narrative, right? It has this explanatory power for why we see these tropes in other places. Tropes of resurrection.
I'd call it a myth. I wouldn't say meta. I'd say it's a myth, but it's a true myth.
I don't get it. What's a true myth?
That that's how Lewis and Tolkien will talk about a myth being a story that has explanatory power. It has explanatory, especially in terms of kind of metaphysical explanatory power, right? And that's exactly what the Christian story is, but it's the only true one.
Got it.
All the others are reflections of or types of.
Not myth as in fiction, but myth as in archetypal.
Archetypal. That's the word. Yeah. Good. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think that's one way in which that functions, right? Where there is some, whether or not, I don't know where Stephen King is. He's the one who wrote Shawshank Redemption, the short story, but he uses it again. We won't go into it now time-wise, but The Green Mile has some similar themes in it, and so that's there for him. That's there for all kinds of writers who I'm not sure if they know that they're doing it.
So the Norse myth makers, they don't know Christianity.
Exactly.
So they're not just influenced by the Christian past in which they live. Like you could say,
Right.
Stephen King, it's just by living in the West,
Right.
so influenced by Alcuin and others
Right.
over time. It's just in the conceptual imagination of the people, but not in this case.
Right. And Lewis says, actually, I love how he says it's for the is in this one, but for the purpose of imagination, right? Lewis in his own testimony says, after reading MacDonald, George MacDonald, he says that my imagination was baptized. The rest would take some time to follow, and that was 3 years before he became a Christian. My imagination was baptized. My imagination, I start to realize inwardly, the inward eyes of kind of reality, of how I picture reality, that starts to form inwardly. I've got these desires, this desire for joy, or what he called northness, this desire for something more pure than
for
what I know.
resurrection.
For resurrection,
for
right?
life,
For life. Yeah, that's all in there, and the imagination being captured. I think that's one of the powers of tropes in general. But I think also, go ahead, and then
Well, I was going to say probably my favorite Lewis work is The Weight of Glory.
Yes.
And that's just short.
Yes.
But almost like the implication being, if there weren't resurrection tropes showing up in every other culture, we should be surprised.
Yeah.
Because we actually are made for that longing. It's just attached to the wrong the wrong thing in Norse mythology or whatever. Or even I was wondering, like, even there's some resurrection themes in Greek mythology.
There are. They're usually, in Greek mythology, what's interesting is they're usually tied to seasons. So it's cyclical.
So that's where
it's usually like spring, right? You've got this a goddess that is resurrected in spring. She's the god of spring.
Penelope? Penelope comes out
it's, if you would,
said that.
it's close to that.
Yeah, okay.
Persephone, thank you, yes, Persephone. And she, but then she has to go back down again. The second half
it
of
happens
the year.
cyclically.
Yeah, cyclically.
Okay.
So that's what you mean by myth. It's this explanatory power for understanding.
Right,
why
that
there
gives
are
it some.
seasons
Right.
when
That gives some
Earth's solar
explanatory
axis.
power, but it's not. It's in the end, the Greek myths all start to kind of like, oh, that's
People
a lot
know their
of,
myths
They know
exclusively.
right.
myths,
They do.
exclusively
In fact,
myths.
that's why that's why in part anyway, why people like Socrates and Plato began to say, wait a minute, we can do better. We can figure out the world without having to resort to these things, right? But then with Christ, what changes with his resurrection, I think, other than I'm really intrigued by Balder, and I don't know of too many others that have an eschatological kind of target, right? With him, with Ragnarok, there's something there, although it never fulfills that I know of. I don't know of any story where he does resurrect. It's just these prophecies that he's going to, which is fascinating. So
and the difference in Christianity is
it's linear.
We believe in our coming resurrection at the return of Christ because that is already his resurrection already happened in history.
Right, so it's
a future
grounded in
hope-based
creation and
creation
eschatology, and there's which of course is a lot of the Enlightenment. And I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know already, but a lot of the Enlightenment ideals of purpose and progress, even is a result of a change of dynamic within history of thinking cyclically to thinking linear and toward a purpose.
Right.
And that's where I wonder. This is an intriguing thought to kind of just throw out there as a whatever. But I wonder about our fascination with zombies in our culture. It's a really perverse resurrection that is neither grounded in the Imago Dei nor in any hope of the future. So it's a hopeless, nihilistic. If you have if you're not made with any purpose and you have no hope towards which to live, then if you rise from the dead, what good is it?
What good is
what happens?
So that's interesting. You're saying if
and I don't know. I'm spitballing a little more on the zombie thing. I think it'd be fascinating to dig into that. But
I've heard others muse over why zombies are popular these days. So if you consider that we're creatures made in God's image and living in God's world, made for life, then that hope for resurrection, that idea of resurrection, just won't let us go.
Right.
But when it's mixed with the creep of the death of God and the nihilism that follows, then you have people living in two worlds intellectually. One, made in the image of God, and so can't fully suppress everything that's good, true, and beautiful about the image of God in me, though I may try, mixed with this hopelessness, and then that's where zombies come from.
I wonder.
Or it's just cool.
But why do we think it's cool? Why do we think it's cool? There's got to be something that connects there.
Well, and there's a sense of like there's maybe this even docetic reality that we're not people. Like there's something different. It's not just the person came back. It's the person. It's not the person.
It's not the person.
There's a radical depersonalization of a zombie. I can't believe we're talking about zombies on ITS podcast, but
Sorry.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know how close to the end here. I have a question. I need some help. So I think probably a lot of people are in this boat. You know, I graduate seminary, pastor, planted church, have kid. We have 5 kids now. Just like go. I remember Tale of Two Cities from probably my sophomore year of high school.
Sure.
I'm sure I watched the Count of Monte Cristo. It didn't read 1,400 pages. I mean, all these things. I think there's a certain literary impoverishment that we end up in just because we're moving so fast and we got things pre-digested for us through modern technology. But I also think that it really, for a pastor or a preacher, teacher, it really expands our horizons to see those literary masterpieces or tropes or understanding what we're talking about today. Some resource suggestions.
Yeah, great question. That was why I threw the jab out about alliteration and a little bit.
By the way, my wife would allow me to do alliteration in sermons because she's like, that's not hard. Don't do that. You know, it sounds cheesy and it doesn't require a lot of work. So,
but yeah, I think you're right. I think that is an impoverishment within, and I get within the church, and I get the time constraints, right? I think one place that would be real helpful is, and podcasts, I'm sure I'm not one's coming to mind, but I know not a specific one is, but I listen to a ton, and there are a ton that discuss things on a regular basis. We'll discuss, the literature and you know, that kind of thing, and so you can kind of pick up on things and then dig in more deeply if you want. But I'd actually say Trinity Forum. Do you subscribe to their mailings? They're
no.
So used to. They do like samplers.
They do an abridged version, or just chapters from. Like the last one I think was the story of the Jean Valjean and the candlesticks out of
Jean Valjean.
Yeah, out of Les Mis.
Les Mis.
It's just that, but then they do it along with an intro from a Christian thinker who is passionate about that particular piece of literature. And they're short, they're beautifully packaged. You can get little boxes to hold them all. You know, that would be a great way to kind of dig into some literature and just be more, for lack of a better word, maybe I know it sounds pejorative, for lack of a less pejorative term, to be more cultured in that sense.
No, I think that's right. That's where I think technology has a way of reducing everything, and we just acclimate to being very, mechanistic with how we engage the world. I mean, we're just trying to get a goal accomplished, and we often don't just make time to sit, reflect, to explore things that take more time to dig out.
Right.
And I appreciate the recommendation.
And that's part of the value of a longer book. Now, the Count of Monte Cristo I read must have been an abridged version because it was only 500 pages, not 1,400. But so already a little pre-digested. But I think that's part of the value of a longer piece of literature like that.
It is.
To think back to the Lord of the Rings again.
Yeah.
Did anybody really mind that they were that long? People joked about, another scene of them walking. Yeah. How else do you help the audience understand that this is an arduous journey that takes a long time and going a long way? You can say it or you can show it, And by showing it, you're incorporating the in this case, the viewer into that world. And so, yeah, I think there has to be a trade-off. We have to be willing to say, I will turn my email off. I will turn my cell phone off. The world will be fine without me. Whatever's getting the headlines right now, it won't in 2 hours or 2 days. So it doesn't matter if I miss it. And I'm going to go ahead and read along work and keep my eyes open for the symbolism that the author took pains to get in there.
Right.
Yeah.
A resource that comes to mind actually on a bigger scale is, because I totally agree. Even as I'm saying, here's a short way to do it if you're time crunched. And I think those Trinity form pamphlets do serve a really great purpose that way. But I do totally agree that there's nothing replaces just being engrossed in a story for the long haul and letting yourself get in there. Nothing replaces that. But there's a book, The Common Rule by Justin Earley, if you're familiar with it, but really helpful in kind of some of these bigger questions of how do we slow down enough to do that. This guy's a big city attorney and has wrestled through and he just has suggestions that are, and his story is really good. So anyway, that would be one, not of fiction, but of how do you kind of reframe the busyness of life to be able to allow for that. And then I break up my reading. I only read fiction. My bedtime book is always fiction. So I'll read nonfiction during the day, and then I'll always have a novel. I don't read nonfiction at night. I always read fiction at night. I don't know. It's just so I'm in that, at least in that kind of a pattern.
What are you reading right now? Fiction?
I am reading, for the second time, Confederacy of Dunces. John Kennedy Toole or O'Toole. He was, Walker Percy discovered him. He had died, actually, his mom discovered him. His mom found the transcript, brought it to Walker Percy, said, I think my son wrote this before he died. I think it's good. He said it's amazing. He published it, and it won the Pulitzer Prize.
Guess she was right.
Okay. Very good. Well, Dan, it's been great having you.
Great being here. Thank you so much.
Grateful for your time and bringing some of that cultural awareness and literacy to our podcast.
Could I end with a poem as well, a shorter
one? Of course.
Since we started with one.
Oh, we're out of time. No, just kidding. Give us the poem.
This is one of my favorites. It is God's Grandeur. You maybe are familiar. Gerard Manley Hopkins.
I don't know this one.
Okay, he was a Jesuit priest and a great poet. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to a greatness like the ooze of oil crushed. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? Generations have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil. And wears man's smudge and shares man's smell, the soil is bare now, nor can foot feel being shod. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness deep down things. And though the last lights off the black west went, oh, morning at the brown brink eastward springs, because the Holy Ghost over the bent world broods with warm breast and with bright wings.